All right, haven't seen the numbers climb in a little bit, so I'm going to get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Lori Cohen. I am one of the counselors here. I am joined by my colleague, Miss Martin. And even more important than Ms. Martin and myself, I am joined by four amazing Cheltenham alumni students who I reached out to back in May and they agreed to do this. And then I reached out to them this fall and they still agreed to do it. So I want to introduce our four panelists. They are all graduates of Cheltenham High School from class of 2021. So I'm going to introduce them and then we will get started. So we have Sophia Kerr from George Washington University, Yasir Valentine from Miami University of Ohio, Noah Gocial from American University, and Tajae Robb, who attends Jackson State University. So I'm going to thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to ask you to start by kind of just telling us a little bit about what got you to the college you're at and how it's going a few months in. So Sophia, do you want to start with you?
Okay, hi, my name's Sophia.
Can I interrupt 1 second, Sophia? And for the people in the audience, we are not having the chat enabled tonight, but if you have specific questions you want these four to address, please type them into the Q&A section and we will make sure that they're answering your question. So anything you want to know, we've asked them to be completely honest, not to give the company line and not to make everything sound great. We want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. So thanks. Sorry, Sophia, take it off. Take it away.
Hi, my name's Sophia. I go to George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I'm majoring in criminal justice and minoring in human services and social justice. I applied regular decision to George Washington and yeah, I mean, is that all?
Yeah, that's a good start. Yasir, why don't you tell us a little about your semester?
Hi, I go to Miami University. I am a bio pre-med major, and I also have a minor in critical race and ethnic studies. And one of the couple of reasons why I picked this school is because one, my stepdad went there, so I had a little appeal for that. They gave me the most money, and I really like the size of the campus and the the distance from home. I wanted to go a little bit farther than some of my peers, but yeah, those are a couple of reasons why I picked it, and I'm quite happy with my decision.
Thank you. Noah.
Hey guys, I'm Noah. I go to American University and I chose this school because it's in DC. I'm very political. I like DC. I chose it because it's the only campus I really toured and I kind of just stuck with it. And also, same thing as Yasir, it's far away from home.
Thank you. And Tajae?
Hello, everyone. I go to Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, which is an HBCU. And I chose to go to the school because of the culture. That's one of the main reasons why I chose to go here. And because of distance from home, I really wanted to go to a school that was, in the deep South. I wanted to experience the culture and also, have like a really good education. And that's why I chose them.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Don't see any questions yet, so I'm going to start us off. Why don't you tell us what the most challenging part of you going to college was for you? Does anybody want to jump in? We're going to call on you.
I feel like we're all going to say this. It's going to be like time management. Yeah, because your classes are scheduled when you schedule them. It's not like high school where you wake up, get on the bus at a certain time, you go to class at a certain time, you have the bell dismissing you and telling you when to go. Really, a lot of classes don't even take attendance. If you didn't go, they wouldn't know. The professor will never know your name. So it's kind of easy to easily get out of rhythm and not go to class or say like I'll make it up or things like that. So I would definitely say time management. You don't have parents or teachers really at school saying like you need to get this done then, like they're not gonna like knock on your desk and be like, oh, you haven't turned this in, yeah, you're gonna do that soon. Like they're not there for that. That's not what they get paid for. It's really up to you. Now you're adults, so yeah, you got to get your stuff done.
Thank you.
Another thing I would say is just getting the hang of things, because college is like a big leap from high school and it's so different in so many ways and there's so many things that you have to learn. And it's like it's like a kind of like a culture shock because, a lot of things that, we're expecting in high school aren't expected in college. And some stuff that we're expecting in college are not expected in high school. So it's like, you just have to like, learn your way through things and push your way through things. And also like look at your peers and like ask, upperclassmen, like, okay, you've been doing this for so long. How do you like get in the swing of things? And it's also more putting yourself out there because in high school, it's okay to kind of be sheltered a little bit, but like in college, you have to network a lot. They always stress networking because at the end of the day, you have to look at everybody as your colleague because you never know who you could use in the future. So just being able to put yourself out there and just, talking to new people and just doing different things, being open to different things. And because I go to a college so far away, it's like I see so many people from around the world, and it's like I have to learn and be respectful of their culture because I'm not in Philly anymore. I'm in a whole different state, a whole different city, and it's like people coming from New Orleans, people coming from Alabama, Chicago. It's like they grew up around different things, and I have to be respectful towards them as they have to be respectful towards me. So just being able to be respectful, get the hang of things, stuff like that. It was kind of a culture shock.
Thanks. Noah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I would definitely second what Yasir and Tajae said. You definitely have to learn to like structure your time because you might have like 2 hours between your class and you have to like commit yourself to actually do work instead of like just taking a nap or something like that. And then also with the culture shock, you have to get used to being around people like 24/7 because normally at school in high school you would go to school but then you could go home, but here you can't really do that. There's always going to be people doing something. There's always going to be people who maybe you don't get along with and you just kind of have to learn to like live with them. And I think that was definitely a big adjustment coming to college.
Thank you.
Just to add on to that culture shock, it's very weird. It doesn't sound like it's different going from somewhere right outside of Philly to DC, but it was. I feel like every city kind of develops its own culture, and you have to either choose to be in a bubble or, join that culture. But it's also like with people, there a lot of people say like, the people who you become best friends with as a freshman aren't going to stay with you for the rest of your life, and that is very much true. And you will get to a point where you're like, no, I'm different, and trust me, you're not. And I'm sure that everybody will get to that point themselves, but it's very true, and it's very cool to kind of see that process go and to kind of see how you can kind of maneuver your way out of that, because it teaches you a lot about yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like one last thing on like the people thing is, one thing about college is you just don't really have the alone time, the privacy. You at a class with hundreds of people, you at a dining hall with hundreds of people, you walk around campus with hundreds of people, you go to your room and you have a roommate. Like the alone time, like it's definitely a thing. So social battery getting drained is definitely a thing. Very much more than it was in high school. Like, you can't shelter yourself in your room and hide from your parents and hide from your friends and everything in college. But it's also like kind of good too, because I think in college too, especially because it's so hard, so challenging, it moves so fast, it's so rigorous, that having that person in your room or like, your friends who will bang on your door whenever, you're not going to class or something like that is also like helpful too. So yeah, like, if I don't go to class for 2 days, my roommate would be like, hey bro, like get up, like go to class. And like, that's helpful. And, because we don't have parents or our professors aren't, going to email home or anything like that.
That's cool.
And
Thanks.
then just to piggyback off of that, you also have to realize that even though you're in college, not everybody's going to act like they're in college. And there's still going to be people with that high school mindset. And you have to just like realize that I'm in college now and you're technically an adult. So if you come across people that you don't get along with, if you go to, because I go to such a huge campus, there's always going to be a different crowd hanging around. Like it's never going to be just like that one. It's like not like high school where you're stuck with a group of people every day for like, years. There's always going to be a group of different people, and you're always going to be able to, get out the situation that you're in now. So you just got to be a mindful that, you can always, try to get out the situation that you're in.
And then also just adding on to that, there are a lot of people who not only don't act like they're in college, but also you kind of question, do you have the emotional maturity to be in college? That now, not saying that everybody needs to have that, but this is the time when you're supposed to develop that. And then also You don't, yeah. So I personally at American, my guidance counselor cannot send my parents, or no teacher can send my parents my grades without me giving permission, which is, a really nice thing to have happen. But on the flip side, there is no extra pressure being put on you to perform well. So you kind of have to need to be self-motivated in order to have that happen, or, allow your parents to have access to your grades.
That's a good point. So how much contact do you have with your parents and your families now?
I got in trouble last night for not calling my mom. So I mean, I typically may talk to my mom on the phone maybe once a week. We both kind of agreed that, we wouldn't do the thing like, where she like called me every day. I think for students, you and your parents should definitely have a conversation about that before you leave. Because, if you're there and like your parents are constantly blowing you up or constantly calling you, constantly texting you, and it's different in college. Like, I'm not on my phone that much. I don't, a lot of times I might not call or text my mom back just because I didn't see it, not because I didn't want to or want to pick it up. And, but like that's definitely a conversation you should have with your parents, that's saying like, let's set a time, let's set a day that we will definitely talk to each other. And I will talk to you at other times too, but this time is designated to talking to you. So, I don't have that conflict, especially when you're so far away. It's not like you're going to see each other at the dinner table later that night. You can hash this out. It's, you live miles away or even hours away. So it's definitely a conversation you should have.
That's really good advice. Thank you.
Also, it's also good to just realize like how like important your parents are, because with me, before I was in high school, I always told myself I'm gonna go as far away as I could. And when I finally got as far away as I could, it's like, my mom, I can't talk to my mom every day. I talk to my mom like a good once a week, same thing with Yasir. And it's like I kind of started missing my mom. Like I was really like, starting to feel it. And that's another reason why I came back home just for this semester, just being around the family, because I really miss my family. I didn't think I would, because they got on my nerves while I was there, but like I really miss them. Like it was just it's weird like being around, having so much support at home, and then go to college and you're just thrown into college and you're thrown there by yourself. Like, yeah, you have the support of your friends, but it's nothing like the support of your family that's always been there for you, that's always picking up for you, telling you to, oh Todd, get your work done, do this, do that. It's like in college, yeah, your friends are going to help you, but it's nothing like the support of your family. So also consider how close you are with your family and like how much they actually do support you, because that can hit hard home for you, because it personally did with me. That's why I'm back this semester, but I'll be going next semester though.
Are you going back to Jackson State next semester?
Yeah, I'm kind of forced to. I wish, yeah, I have to.
Okay. Sophia, Noah, anything about the talking to your parents, keeping in touch, giving them access to your grades?
I would say I call my mom probably at least once a week. At the beginning, it's definitely more, probably like at least 2-3 times a week. But I think as the semester goes on, it starts to like die down a little bit. So I would say definitely make sure you're like keeping up that contact, like try to talk to them at least once a week. FaceTime was really helpful for me because it's nice to like actually see each other versus just like hearing each other. And also like at the beginning, it might be more because I feel like at the beginning, I was texting my mom, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? Because you have to get used to doing all these new things on your own. So that was a way of contact. But then as it goes on, you start to learn to do things for yourself, but you have to make sure you're still talking to them just to like have contact.
That's cool. And I assume if you have a pet, pictures of your pet always help.
I find myself talking to my parents a lot more than I thought that I would. My dad and I talk about all things current events a lot, probably about once every other day. Normally it's like a 5-minute conversation, but it's still good. And then my mom and I try and talk at least like 3 times per week. It's not like a try. It's more like I will call her or she will call me just spontaneously. But it's also important to go somewhere where you have family in that area, in that region. Like my grandfather lives down here, so it's really nice because if I don't want to spend an outrageous amount of money at Panera, I can instead go over to dinner at his house, or I can get away.
Nice.
I would say one other thing, especially for the students and the scholars who want to go further away from home. When you do call your parents, don't lie to them about how you're doing. Like I know, like I fell into the trap of like, I'm away from home, and if I say I'm sad or I'm upset or like I'm having a tough time, that they're gonna be like, you need to come home now. But like that's not true. Like tell them how you're feeling. Tell them that you might be having a tough time. Tell them that an exam didn't go well, or you're feeling real down. You don't feel motivated to go to class, and like have them talk to them about it and hash it out, and don't shelter yourself from it and keep those feelings inside. And because at the end of the day, they're the parents. They're gonna help you, and they're gonna help you work through it. They're not gonna be like, you need to come home now, because like you don't know how to handle like being on your own. Like no, they went through this. They did the college thing, or they did these hard things. You're doing these hard things, so let them help you.
Okay. Awesome. Parents, don't forget, and students, if you guys have questions, please put them in the question answer. If you have specific questions, let's see what you guys have. In the meantime, we can keep going. Are you guys happy with your living situation with your roommates? And tell us how that relationship has gone, good or bad. And suggestions you might have for us.
Yeah. For me, I really get along with all my roommates, but I'm also in a suite style. So we each have our own individual bedrooms. And then I have 3 roommates and we share a common space in a bathroom. So that's really nice. I know that's not a common experience for freshmen. As for roommates in general, I say just communication is a really big thing. Just like talk to them. Like even before coming to campus, like I found my roommates on Facebook and then we talked throughout the summer. And I think like a lot of issues that could become a really big deal if you ignore it, if you just bring it up like casually, it's not a big deal and you just move on and everything's good.
On the flip side, me and my roommate, we didn't talk as much and we didn't communicate as often. It was more of like, we see each other, we say, hey, like you want to turn off the light, but it wasn't no like, common courtesy, like conversations. And it got to the point where it kind of felt like awkward with him being around me, because it's like, he was more of like a reserved person. He was more shy. He didn't have like a big group of friends on like how I did. So even though we were living together, it felt kind of like mundane with him being around there, because I would try to talk to him, but he wouldn't be like, give me short 1-word answers, nothing like too crazy. And it kind of felt weird. And then like also asking him like to do things like, okay, I clean the bathroom, like could you clean the bathroom? Like he just wouldn't like pick up with that. So it kind of felt kind of sad that my roommate wasn't like receptive. But I also had a suite mate who was an RA, and he was more of receptive. So I kind of talked to him more than I did to my roommate. But just also please just be open to talking to your roommate, because your roommate is going to be there 24/7. You're going to always see them, and just having like an awkward space with your roommate, it's not going to make you feel good. So yeah.
I second that. Kind of like definitely look at your roommate, look at who they are, kind of like don't just look at their Instagram, don't just talk to them, but also see how they interact with other people. Know that stuff because I talked with my roommate before. Him and I are definitely friends, and he seemed like a great person. We do not live together well. We are incompatible, and sometimes it just takes that kind of time to you have to experience it before you can really understand it, and that's okay. It's only it's only 1 year, so it's not forever. But most definitely kind of like scout it out. Don't just talk, but also look for those signs.
There's a question in the chat. So can you pick your roommate, or can you explain like what that process is? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways. I currently actually don't have a roommate right now, but I did. They deferred this semester. But there are a couple of ways you can do it. Your school will always send you out a form that says like pick your name and like pick your roommate's name, put your roommate's name, and then you guys have to like pick each other basically, and you guys will be roomed together. Most freshmen don't get to pick like the hall, which building you live in, but you get to pick your roommates. Or you can do what I did, is I actually went random, and you go random. Usually you have to fill out a survey and say some things about yourself, like I'm a night person, I'm really tidy, or like I'm kind of messy, or things like that. And they'll pair you up with somebody with you. And I actually went random because I don't know, I was going to a new state. I didn't know anybody who was going to my school. I was like, I'm a pretty social person. I don't really care how I get. I feel like I'll get along with them. That's what I did. And then the schools put a lot of time into it, a lot more than you would think. I got a roommate. One, and if I was to pick a roommate, I would definitely do this that the school did for me, was pick one from somewhere you're from. Not only because you might like, we just got along, and it was like nice to have somebody from where I'm from, especially if you go out of state, because like, I would be in like talking to my friends who aren't from Philly, and I'd be like, oh, like pass me that John. They'd be like, what? And I'd be like, oh man. But then, like me and my roommate might talk about it. I'd be like, I just want to go to Wawa. And like my friends don't understand it, but he's like, yeah, Wawa, I missed that thing. Like, so like, it's just like the little things like that you guys can like bond and connect on. And I think it might like help you feel more comfortable, and you guys might, connect on that level.
That's cool. So it sounds like you can either pick your roommate and that you find them in like a Facebook page or some social media pages, or you can go random.
Yeah, and then my school, I don't know if you guys can probably say too, but did you guys have like Facebook patio, wherever, where like there's like Facebook has this like app where your school will have all these different group chats, and like there might be one that says like find a roommate, or like things like that, and you can like usually find a roommate on there too. You guys can talk on there, so it's not like you have to like go stalk them on Instagram then DM them, seem all weird. Like it's made for doing that stuff, so you might have like a better chance of finding someone more compatible.
With my school, we didn't have Facebook patio, but we did have a Instagram group chat. There's like not Instagram chat, an Instagram page, and it was called JSU25. And all like in the incoming freshmen, they would like post like about themselves, a little bio about themselves. And like after that, they had posted like a link to a Telegram group chat, and we all communicated on Telegram, which is another app that's really popular with like incoming freshmen. They use Telegram, and so there's different apps. You guys gotta look out for them. Just always be aware that like the stuff that goes on in those group chats are not going to be the stuff that goes on campus. Because a lot of people say stuff about themselves in them group chats that just aren't real. So just be aware that somebody could say, oh, we're gonna be best friends. You never see them on campus. Like just be cautious of that, because like it's gonna happen. It's going to happen.
And be very careful what information you reveal very early on. You do not know these people, regardless of how many late night Zooms you guys spend together. And I promise you, if you say something, it will come back to bite you, especially if it's bad. Yeah,
Yes.
so many people have.
And if you're going to an HBCU, please do not disclose any Greek information at all. No Greek information, what you want to be, none of that. Because in HBCU culture, Greek information is sacred. And if you disclose it too early, that could get you, clipped real quick. So just any information that's, really sacred, especially with whatever school you're going to, whatever culture you're going to, please don't disclose any of that information, because that could come back and haunt you. I've seen it happen. That can come back and haunt you.
Good advice. Thanks. How did you guys meet friends, especially those of you who didn't get along great with your roommates or the roommates left? Like, how did you meet friends your first week or two?
So I'm actually going to take this one real quick because I have the best story. So one of my closest friends, Simi, she's from Argentina, and she was trying to find her friend, and the fire alarm rang. In the last semester, we had 28 fire alarms, most of them at 2 a.m.
That's worse than Cheltenham.
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of fire alarms. In fact, there was one last night. I did not get up anyways. But so there was a fire alarm. Everyone was leaving, and she just looked confused. So I went up to her and I was like, "Are you okay? Like, are you trying to find something?" And then so me and my roommate. My roommate and I all walked out and then started talking to other people. So we kind of bonded over that like similar experience of really hating the fire alarm. And then for other people, just the generic, hey, do you want to study together? Or hey, do you, you go to the gym? I go to the gym. Let's go together. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely also met people at fire alarms because we also have a lot of those. But I think like my closest friends here I made because on the night after we moved in, they just came and knocked on our door. So I think just like doing that the first week, introducing yourself to different people, that's definitely like a really good way to meet people. And you are going to meet people who like we did things with the first week of school, and then after that we've probably never talked to, or like very infrequently. So there is that element of it. but I think you also can't be afraid to introduce yourself to people because you never know who you might meet. And that's how I met like many of my closest friends.
For me, so this is also gonna I'm gonna say one other thing. I did a pre-program. It was called LSAM. It was basically like minorities in STEM. So I got to school about a week and a half early. So I like this early arrival. I moved into my dorm early. And I'm gonna tell you, if you can do a pre-program where you can move in early, do it. I know your parents are gonna be like, oh, you're leaving 1 week early, blah, blah, blah. Do it. It's not worth, like, move-in day is terrible. They'll all tell you move-in day sucks. There's all too many people, too many cars, everybody's stressed out. This way you move in, it's only you. You get to like figure things out without, 20,000 other people, other freshmen trying to figure it out too. It's much more calm. You get to know the campus a little better. You get to even tell other freshmen about things on the campus that are like you kind of feel kind of special. But so I did LSAMP, which is like a minorities in STEM, and I met a lot of my friends through that. We're still friends. We hang out every single day, every week. So I met a lot through that, and then also I met a lot of them joining clubs. I joined ASU, which is Average Student Union, and Black Women Empowerment. So I met a lot of people during that through that, which was really cool. And then I also, with my friends, I did a couple intramural sports like flag football or 3-on-3 basketball, and I met a lot of kids through that. And also, I just work out at the gym and go to the rec, which we play basketball. So just try to do activities, try to meet people, even at the dining hall. Sometimes I just say hi to people, even if I just see them in class. I saw them in class. I go to say hi in the dining hall. I'm like, hey, is your name like, Sophia or whatever? And I sit down with them and, have a conversation. It might become your best friend, might not. Can't know until you do it.
How I met most of my friends, my school has not a program, but it's more of a thing. It's a mandatory thing where you have to it's called Welcome Week, but it's more of like only for freshmen. And it was in June. So it was in June and we had all came in. It was like getting information about the school and stuff like that. And they had like a couple of activities for us to do. And it was just all freshmen and we all had to live on campus for like a good 2 days and we all bonded through to that. And then Welcome Week is where basically a whole week before school actually starts, only all freshmen are on campus and they do a whole bunch of activities for us. And we just all have fun and we all bond together, to be honest. And it's a lot of fun if your school does it. And then just walking around campus, meeting people, like first week of school, I met most of my friends by just being lost, asking for directions. Other freshmen like, do you know where this building is? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm going there too. We just walk together. And then we just exchanged socials and stuff like that. We became friends. So it's a lot of random ways you're gonna meet people. And you're gonna be surprised how you're gonna meet your, soon to be best friends, because it's really random. You're gonna find them in the most random ways, I promise.
That's cool. Do you guys still keep in touch with your high school group?
I do. We do. And when we come home, we all hang out. But yeah, it's like, do I get jealous sometimes when they start talking about their friends at college? Yes. Do they get jealous when I do? Yes. But it's always nice to see them when we come home.
Cool.
I don't talk to anybody from high school except for my one friend, Nebula Rock, if you know who that is. Yeah, that's my one friend that I always been together with since I first met her. And I always visit her at her college. So, if I get jealous of her friends, I just go and hang out with her. I'm like, what? But yeah, she gets jealous of me because she can't come visit me in Mississippi. But yeah, high school friends, it's cool if you have a really strong bond with them, then yeah, but if you don't, you're gonna meet new friends. Don't worry.
Yeah, for me, I still talk to my high school friends. It's definitely less frequently than I did before, but we're all still close. And I'm actually very lucky because I have a friend who goes to school 30 minutes away in Virginia. So I'm actually meeting up with her tomorrow. So it's nice to have like that, where like you have your own groups at your different schools, but then you can still meet up and you can introduce your college friends to your high school friends. And that's really nice.
That's cool. Awesome.
Only a few.
Okay, that's great. Remember, audience members, feel free to put questions in the chat. Love to hear what you guys want to know. Yasir, you started talking about some of the activities you're involved in. How about the rest of you guys? What have you gotten involved in activities? Are they similar to the ones from high school, or are they different from high school? Yasir, you can jump into.
So in high school, I wasn't involved in any activities, and now in college, I put myself out there. I'm Mr. NAACP, and I'm a Blue Ambassador for Jackson State University. And it's weird because Mr. NAACP is a title that only goes to juniors and seniors. So me being able to put myself out there and meeting a lot of new people on campus is something that's really crazy, because I was going against like 5 or 10 juniors and seniors, and me, a little freshman. Like, dang, like like I feel like I'm an underdog, you feel me? But they chose me because of how like friendly I was, and how like how much they saw like what I did for the campus the little month I was there, and how much active I was. And Blue Ambassador is basically like a tour guide. So like I try to get people to come to the school, give tours around the campus, do stuff like that. So being active on campus really helps you, especially if you're trying to run for positions on the SGA. It's just a lot. So just try to put yourself out there. It's gonna help you a lot in the long run.
Thank you. What else are you guys involved in?
I would say that I'm not involved in as many things as I would like to be, but all things political, like student government. I'm active in some other groups for just doing mutual aid or charity work, volunteering at different stuff, sort of stuff like that, and of course history clubs.
So,
For me in high school, I wasn't that involved. I did volleyball and I was the class secretary, but that was basically it. And now in college, first semester, I definitely did not do like any activities at all. But now starting the second semester, I'm starting to have more. I'm a photographer for the school newspaper, and I'm working with the student-run pop-up thrift store and things like that. So I'm starting to do more things that are like my interests, because it doesn't necessarily all have to be like related to what you're studying, though I do have like I'm in the Criminal Justice Student Association, and then like there's also identity-based ones. I'm in the Racially and Ethnically Mixed Student Association. There's things like that. So I think just try to get activities that you genuinely enjoy going to and doing, and there's like whether that's like something related to your major, something related to an identity or an activity, there's like so many things you can do. So.
awesome.
Yeah, high school, I was in quite a lot of activities, especially a lot of sports. The one like thing that does suck is it's like hard to play sports in college, especially going to like a D1 school, because I don't want to play a D1 sport, but because I don't have the time, or I don't really want to try that hard at a sport. But yeah, I definitely do try to stay active. And I think that's one of the things too when we talk about time management and organization. Not only is studying extremely important, but you'll burn out on studying if that's all you ever do. So these activities do force you to like, meet new people and make new connections and do things that's fun, but it's also productive, being a photographer, doing, what Tajae does or what Noah does, these are also important things, or just they stimulate the mind, but they're also fun. You get to meet new people, and yeah, they just also just enlighten you academically.
And just to piggyback off of that, there are so many different things, so many different clubs in college that there just aren't offered in high school. So if you think, oh, the clubs in high school weren't for me, I promise you there's going to be something in college for you, because high school is so limited to what college actually is. College is such a big space, such a big campus, such a big, amount of people, to where there's always something for you to do. There's always going to be a club for you. So you just have to put yourself out there and look, because I promise you, once you look, you're going to find so many more opportunities for yourself.
Also, there's no stigma around anything in college. Any of the clubs or teams you want to join, like in high school, there might be like, oh, he's on that team, like, oh, they're on that, like you feel judged. There's none of that in a college. So like, put yourself out there, do what you want to do, and don't feel any type of way of doing what you want to do. There's always going to be people there to support you.
Yeah, people in college care a lot less than people in high school. Like a lot of stuff you get teased about in high school, we really do not care. Like people are so chill. Like you could be practically anything, come from any background, any sexuality, any color, anything. Nobody's going to care. I promise. We don't care. So just, don't be afraid to be yourself in college, because it's only going to help you we are, I mean, at least at my college, we are so open and we accept anybody. So just put yourself.
And don't be afraid, it's like funny, like we're all adults now too when you get to college. So like, talking to a senior, talking to a junior as a freshman is not like it was in high school. They're just people. We're all here to support each other. Like, if you're lost and you ask the senior, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I was in that position a couple years ago, it's right there. Or like, oh, you want to join this club, you don't know how to do it, this is how you do it. Or that the stigma around like, oh, they're a senior, oh, they're a junior, they're so much older than me, higher classmen. Like there's no higher class, there's no like upperclassmen here, there's just college students. So like that's also not a thing. So if you want to do something, do it. Ask who you need to ask. Don't be ashamed, don't be afraid.
There's a question in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Did you want?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a question in the chat. Do you recommend getting a job on campus?
Only do it if you can swing the time. There are many easy jobs to get, such as a dining hall job, or maybe a front desk job in one of the offices or dorms or wherever you guys have front offices at. They're quite easy to get. Some are easier, some are harder. Definitely jobs at the library, but only do it if you can swing it. Once again, time management, plan out your day. Don't get a job first week on campus. I would say don't even get a job first semester. Do your first semester, see how you're feeling, see how your load is. And then even on your second semester, you can even apply for the job over break, but don't take it. Get into school, do your first couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, and then see how you're doing it. If you can handle it, have your first test. If I can study and I still have some extra time where I think I can put in a job, you should do it. Like I did it, but I literally just started last week. This is my second semester and we're in our 5th week. So I work at the dining hall. It's one of like the not prettiest jobs, but it does pay the most. I don't know about all campuses, but it does pay the most at ours. So it's pretty easy. It's easy to get hours. And also they're pretty flexible on, if you do need to, take a day off or, do whatever you need to do for school, they are quite accommodating to that.
My advice to you, don't get a job first semester because you're going to be so culture shocked that you're not going to be able to, fully commit to a job. And if you are going to school out of state, don't get a job off campus, because especially in a city that you're not familiar with, because Jackson for me is not the prettiest city to be in. So just especially being in a city that's not the best. Yeah. So just if you want to get a job, stick to the jobs on campus if you're not familiar with the city. But just don't get a job first semester. Yeah, it's not looking.
Yeah. Also remember, almost every single college doesn't allow freshmen to have cars.
Well, mine does, but it varies what college you go to.
Yeah,
like, it varies.
Yeah, and like and remember, if sometimes like if you live a certain amount of miles away from home to school, whatever, you can do it like that. If you can make yourself a commuter, you can get it or whatever. But there's also things like a lot of schools will have like permits where like you have to buy a permit and you can only park in certain spots and then like blah blah. So it's a lot of things to consider if you want to get a job off campus. I would definitely, like Tajae said, I would say don't get a job first semester and definitely don't get a job off campus.
And also, different schools have different leniencies. Like my school is very much lenient, but other schools are more like, stricter on different things. So just when you do decide to go to a college, just familiarize yourself with like what can you do and what you cannot do, because that's gonna help you out.
All right, we have a few questions about food. So how do you guys order lunch? What's the food taste like? And are there ordering spots? So talk to us about eating in college.
I think it's funny. I mean, I have those same questions. I feel like that's always like one of the most popular topics about college. What is the food like? The way my college works, you have 2 types. So you have a food plan, a meal plan, and then there are 2 types of money you have on that meal plan. You have dining halls, which are buffets, and you have a certain amount of swipes. So my dining hall, and you have declining dollars. So my meal plan is 16 swipes and $500 dining dollars. So the 16 swipes, they reload every week. So if every time I go to a dining hall, I use a swipe and it subtracts. So at the end of the week on, I think Saturday morning, I get 16 more. And then declining dollars last the entire semester. And these work at a la carte places. So like there's a diner we have where, you know, you can buy a burger or whatever, and it racks up a certain total. It's like a credit card. You swipe it or you scan it, and a certain amount of money comes off of your card. And once that runs out, you can put more money on it, but that'll be your personal money, not the money that was originally on your meal plan. And yeah, that's basically how it works. There are, I think my campus has like 6 dining halls, and then it has a bunch of a la carte places where you can use your declining dollars. I think the food on campus is definitely mass produced. It's, you know, it's not 5-star, but I am not starving. I, you know, eat. There are certain dining halls usually have different food. So there's certain ones that you might tend to go to more than others. But I would definitely, you know, say if your school does do what I do, you have buffet swipes and dining dollars, try to use as many buffet swipes, because over time your declining dollars do roll over to the next semester or next year. And then when you're a junior or senior, you don't live on campus, you can still have those declining dollars and use them when you don't have a meal plan, you don't want to cook at home or at your apartment.
Yeah, for my school on main campus, we don't have a dining hall. Our system is just set up, it's kind of like a bank card, and then you can use it at restaurants and grocery stores, which is definitely not the typical college dining system. So it can definitely be very difficult to learn how to budget at first, because you're just kind of given free reign and like, here, just use this, we're at any of our partner locations. But we also have like a Mount Vernon campus where 1/3 of the freshmen live, which is where I live. So there is one dining hall here, but that's the only dining hall for all of GW. And I think we get like $1,600 in dining dollars, and then I'm not exactly sure about the number, but it's a set amount of meal swipes that you can use for the semester. And then that all rolls over, not the swipes for us, but the money rolls over for each semester and each year. So that's definitely difficult to learn how to manage. And also, like, I have a food allergy. So if you also have allergies or restrictions in the dining halls, for us, they post all the ingredients and everything. And then you can get certain accommodations if you can find that there isn't access to food for you. But for the most part, it's been pretty like okay managing it.
Yeah, that is one nice thing at my school too, is the dining halls all have an allergen station. So, you know, if you have certain allergies, gluten-free or, you know, vegetarian, vegan, they do have accommodations for that.
With my school, we kind of had the same thing Yasir school has. We have, you know, Tiger Bucks, where, you know, we have $500 Tiger Bucks, and then we have our swipes. So if we get 3 swipes a day, so, you know, we can get, you know, our breakfast, our lunch, our dinner. But the Tiger Bucks are the bucks that like are really sacred, because, you know, we have like Chick-fil-A on campus, and, you know, Burger King, and, you know, we have all that good stuff. But it's like, you don't want to waste it because you only get 500 per semester. So like with me personally, like, I didn't know how much it was worth until like I was finished like the first month into college, and I had to go to the dining hall every single day after that. And it's like it gets weird because like you see your friends like, oh, can you buy me this? Da da da. Can you buy me Chick-fil-A? Da da da. It's like it's different. So you just gotta, you know, save your Tiger Bucks or whatever type of cash you have.
You guys are extraordinarily lucky. At American, we have Eagle Bucks, because of course we do, and we get 175 meal swipes per semester, roughly 2 meal swipes per day. And then we only get 400 Eagle Bucks per semester. So ultimately, for specifics, normally what I do is I spend 10 Eagle Bucks if I want food, but I don't want to use a meal swipe. But then what happens is you have to really pay attention to the cost of things, like even just going into, so our market is called the Eagle's Nest, because once again, of course it is. And you have to kind of pay attention to the price of stuff. Like our food court, TDR, the Terrace Standing Cafe, is one of the most overhated things, but it's genuinely not that bad. But we only have that one food source. Like we have other stuff, but you know, you need to like go a little further for all that stuff.
And is the food good? Is it bad? Like overall, thumbs up or down on the food?
I love it.
Uh,
Then again, I'm a foodie, so
yeah, I don't think the food is that bad. Like I think people overhype it. You know, especially I mean, I love going home and being able to eat like food that I make or food that, you know, going to a restaurant or whatever. But like, I don't think it's that bad. I just came from the dining hall before I got on this meeting, and I ate
So
pretty well.
so I go to an HBCU, and like HBCUs have a reputation of having like, they be throwing down. But with Jackson, it's like with me, I think they can cook when they want to cook. Like whenever they feel like cooking good, they'll cook good. If they don't feel like doing it, they won't cook good. But it differ. It gets different like during like homecoming week. Like homecoming week, they'll cook like amazing food. Then like the next week after, it's like what was this? But it all depends on how your school is. Food is gonna be either good or it's not. So pay attention to that.
Cool.
And then I don't know about other schools, but my school, one other thing you have to think about is when the dining hall is closed. So my dining hall closes at 8 p.m., which absolutely sucks because sometimes I have classes that don't end until 8 or 8:30, so I can't eat after my class, which means like I have to eat before, which is early. This is the whole thing. So like then you also have to like budget in things. Maybe talk to your parents about a budget, maybe for like, you know, groceries that you can eat at, like, you know, your microwave food, or like, you know, each dorm usually has a kitchen. I don't know, like they have different kitchen setups, but you know, maybe budgeting some money for groceries, or you know, maybe ordering out when you need to, for these like late night meals, especially if like, you know, you're up late studying or something like that. So that's definitely one thing you should think about too.
Also, be aware of your campus, because if you're going to a campus like a more city campus, there are going to be more food options outside of the campus than if you're going to like a more rural school. Because with me, I go to a school that's technically in the city, Jackson, but it's a more of an underdeveloped city. Like it's not like Philadelphia. So there are food options, but it's not like the best food options. Like, yeah, we have like, different things, but it's not like how if I would go downtown in Philly, like I would get. So just be aware like what city you're going to, where you're going, and like, the food options around the area too, because you're not going to want to eat campus food every day.
We have another question. Do you feel your choice for college was a good one?
Oh yeah, I rep JSU every day, all the time. That's my only choice. That's the only school I would ever go to, because it's so, I don't know, like you feel the school spirit when you're on campus. Like, I don't know, I just couldn't see myself going to any other college. Like, it's just, I love my school so much. And then when you're around so many other like-minded people, that's like, oh yeah, I love this school, da da da. Because it's not like high school where you're forced to be there. You choose to go here. It's not like how you're only with these people because of an area code. Like, you're here because you want to be here. So if you didn't choose to go here, you always have the option to move. You always have the option to leave. So I personally love my school. I would never go nowhere else. And yeah, that's just how it is.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely like my school a lot too. Yeah, it was like, I mean, I applied to I think 13 schools, and Miami University was actually the last school I visited. And every school before, I was like, I don't know. I was like, yeah, I guess I can see myself here. Yeah, I guess I can see myself here. Like, yeah, they gave me a lot of money. I guess I can see myself here. And like, I just kept saying that. And then finally I visited Miami University, and I was like, I want to be here. So like the one thing I will say is when you know, you know. And that is one thing I thought wasn't going to be that helpful to choosing a school, was visiting. Because I was like, yeah, I'll just see it online. I see pictures all the time, look them up, look up the stats. But actually being there in person, being on the campus, seeing the people walk, seeing the buildings in person, you know, going into a building, you know, seeing what people are doing, it is very beneficial, and you should definitely do it. And then also, I would say one thing that I love about my school is the size of my school. My school is about 25 or about 20,000 undergrad, which sounds like a huge amount of number, like huge number, but it's actually not. I think it's a perfect size. I didn't want to go to a school much smaller, and I didn't want to go to a school much bigger, like Penn State. I had my heart set on Penn State when I was in high school, especially senior applying to school. I got in, I was liberated. I thought I was going to go there. I visited campus, and I was like, I'm not feeling good, actually. It's too big. I don't want to be a number. even certain things like just registering for classes. Registering for classes is a nightmare at any school, but especially going to a school that's 60, 80,000 or even bigger. It's a nightmare even trying to get a hold of your counselor, hold administration just to get into the classes you need to for your major, not even ones you just want to take for fun, but for your major to graduate. And so I think picking the size school that you want is a very big deal. You should really think about that, and especially, and of course, we all know location. And hey, if you can make it through undergrad debt free, do it.
Also, oh, sorry, if you want to go, Sophia. Also, think of the price of your school because, with me, I got accepted into many colleges, but just the prices of out-of-state tuition, especially because they hide the out-of-state tuition. You have to like search for out-of-state tuition, but the price of out-of-state tuition are always going to vary from in-state tuition, and so just being aware of how much you're going to be spending to go there. Right now I'm doing Jackson State from online, and my tuition is totally paid off. I didn't have to pay a single cent for this semester. I actually got a refund check from the school sending me money to actually attempt to go to the school. So just also to be aware of how much money you're going to be spending while you're there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I definitely am very happy with my choice. I think GW is the perfect place for me. I think the location's a big thing, being in DC, being where we are in DC, and being able to stand on campus and see the monuments and see the White House while still being on campus is really cool. And that like allows a lot of cool opportunities for internships and jobs and things like that. And then, yeah, the money thing is a big thing too. I'd also say like sometimes it is cheaper to go out of state for some, because a lot of private schools do give you more money. So even though the sticker price might be like triple the amount, you might end up paying less. So I think consider that as well when you're choosing schools.
Although,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Noah.
no, I appreciate it. Although I will die on the hill that AU is better than GW. Sorry, Sophia. I have to say, a year into it, evaluating where I am, it's a great choice. But looking back, I kind of wish I explored more, and I kind of wish that I pushed myself to apply to more schools and possibly ones in different areas that might, surprise me.
All right, let's go a few more questions. Was it easy to transfer AP and dual enrollment credits? Yes or no? Those of you who had it.
So that's at least with my school, it's like a little process that you have to do. You have to talk to your counselor and you have to let them know that you have AP credits, because if you don't let them know you have AP credits, then you're not going to transfer it for you. So just let them know that you have AP credits, and then you can go through the process with them.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely, let them know. And then when it comes to dual enrollment, it can be a little bit kind of hectic. You just really, really have to make sure you get the transcript sent to the school from the other university. So like I did dual enrollment at Monco, and they kept just not sending the transcript saying that I passed the class and these are classes I took. So that was quite a process. And I just kept having to email Monco and call people and be like, please send my transcripts. And they'd be like, oh, we did. And then they'd be like, no, you didn't. Nobody has it. And they'd be like, oh, then you have to talk to this person. You have to talk to this person. So like, but other than that, but AP is much easier. You fill out a form and it's done. Like, but with dual enrollment, it depends on the university, which, other university you're transferring it from, but that can be a little bit of an issue, but overall it's pretty easy.
How I think some of you mentioned this a little bit. How hard or easy is it as a freshman to get the classes you want? Or do you feel that you have to take filler classes since classes you want are already full?
I'm gonna go because I had like a big issue with this. So the earlier you can go to get your classes, go get your classes, because I promise you do not want to be stuck with an 8 a.m. Worst thing ever. So the earlier you can go to go pick your classes, go pick your classes. Like if they say enrollment for classes start tomorrow, be the first in line to get your classes, because you always want to get the best classes. For your first 2 years, it's going to be prereq, so it's not going to be nothing specific to your major. So yeah, it's more, all your classes pretty much going to be fillers, to be honest. You're going to be taking the same classes basically as high school, your English class, your math class, unless you have the credit for it already. But your English class, your math class, your extras, basically the same stuff. So just be prepared for that. It's gonna kind of feel like high school a little bit.
Go ahead, Noah.
Oh yeah, I second that 8 a.m. thing. I was expecting to, have maybe some structure in my life. It would force me to get up early. It's like making the promise to my friend that every morning I would go swim with him in the pool at like 6 a.m. Like, you think in theory it's going to be a great idea, and then you actually get to the point where it's 7:30 and you're like, I'll just get up at 8. And then you're late to your class, or maybe you sprint. But whatever the case, it sucks.
Yeah, I don't know how we did it in high school. I don't know how I used to wake up and get on the bus and go to school all day and then go to practice after. Like, I don't know, but yeah, if you can get out at 8 a.m., do it. You probably won't as a freshman, but yeah, you got to deal with it. But also, I mean, like I said before, bio pre-med major. I don't really take too many filler classes. Like, I take English 101, which is, everybody has to do it. That's definitely a gen ed. Other than that, I'm taking my chemistry, my bio, and then also one thing that is not much different from high school, but it is different from high school is lab. You will be taking labs for a lot of your classes. Like, I take a bio lab and a chemistry lab, and they're long. My chemistry lab is 3 hours and my bio lab is 2 hours. So that is one thing you guys do have to get used to, is if you are going to be taking a STEM, which most schools require you to take some type of STEM, which usually has a lab. So have fun.
To piggyback off that, there's also going to be a lot of activities that require you to stay up later. Like, there might be a party that night, and parties don't end till like 3 a.m. in the morning. And then you have to wake up at 8 a.m. to go to a class. So just be aware that it's not like high school where like you go home after and you just, stay home all day. There's going to be stuff for you to do on campus, around campus, where you're going to have to be up, or you're going to be up later. And you also have to be aware that you have a class in the morning, because when it's time to wake up, it's going to be hell, because you're not going to want to, I promise you.
So someone asked, and I assume you're all saying afternoon classes are the go-to if you can get them. Get the afternoon classes.
Not even, because a lot of stuff be happening in the evening that you want to attend. So there's like a little sweet spot that you have to try to get into. Don't try to get your classes too late, because a lot of fun activities happen later. And don't try to get too early, because you're going to be up late at night. Try to get in like the little sweet spot, like, at 10 a.m. to around 2-3 p.m. That's like the best time.
Honestly, for actually getting a schedule, last semester I had an 8:10. It sucked. This semester, fortunately, my earliest class is 9:45. It works perfectly because, I every day I get up at 9, and then I just, do what I need to do before, or I just get ready. But that's actually setting a good limit on yourself. So yeah, Tajae, exactly, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Also, I mean, for I'm a STEM major, and for the STEM major babies in the chat, it's gonna be some late nights. It's gonna be some very late nights studying, trying to figure out these equations, trying to do what you got to do. Like, before a test, be ready to be up until about 3-4 a.m. studying to wake up for the 8 a.m. to go take that test, and then hopefully you don't have another class after that so you can go to sleep. But definitely be ready, not only for the activities like Tajae says, but just to study. It's different from high school. You can't just wing it. One thing you have to think about with a college course, a semester is 14 weeks. And in that 14 weeks, you're taking an entire AP class that you would take for a year. So that's how fast we're going here. So when it's crunch time, it's crunch time. Forget about all social activities, forget about all that. Hit the books. Because when you hit the books, you're going to be successful. So when that weekend comes, you can have fun.
Yeah. I'd also say with scheduled classes, keep in mind where your classes are on campus, because if you have to get from one end to another and you have like 10 minutes, that's not gonna be the best situation. And for me, I have to take a shuttle to get to my classes, so that you have to factor at least a half an hour before. So even though I might have a 9:35, by the time I do everything, it's like basically like an 8 a.m. So keep that in mind. And then also for studying, like Yasir is saying, you're probably gonna be staying up late studying a lot, even if you're not in STEM, because I know I'm not. But like, for example, I had a midterm today for criminal law and it's 50% of my grade for the year. So like there's still going to be like those exams that you have to cram for, and you're going to be staying up pretty late at night. So just keep that in mind too when you're scheduling your early classes.
I think there's two questions that kind of fit into this conversation. And I know we're over the hour mark, so we can just keep going maybe for 10 more minutes. We'll go. What are some tips for staying organized and tips for keeping motivated?
Oh, I was thinking about this before we even started because I wanted to mention it. Going to Cheltenham, you guys have one thing that most colleges use, and you should really learn how to use it well, and that's Canvas. My college uses Canvas, and a lot of other colleges use Canvas. And me having it in high school was such a big benefit. I know how to use the calendar feature, the to-do list that's on your phone. If you download the app, if you don't have it, look at your to-do list on your phone. It gives you all your assignments there. That helps me keep organized. Me and a lot of people I know use Google Calendar, which is very helpful. Put everything in your calendar. Not if it's a party, put it in your calendar. If it's an assignment, put it in your calendar. If it's a meeting, put it in your calendar. Have reminders. Do all that. Not only does it make sure you don't forget assignments, because one, when you get to college, there's no fluff points. You know, they're not giving you booster points for your grades. Some classes it's 4 tests in the midterm, maybe one other thing in there, but that's your entire grade. So you got to make sure you know everything to the T about your syllabus. So I would definitely say use Canvas, Google Calendar, and definitely get the app on your phone and look at that to-do list if you don't have that.
Also, you're not gonna need a lot of the stuff that you need in high school. Like a lot of the books, a lot of the notebooks, pens, paper. You're not gonna really need all that. All you're gonna really need is like a computer, a good laptop, and the books that you're required to have. So with me in college, I brought like a lot of stuff. Like I brought pens, I brought books, a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't end up using. And when I left college, I had to either throw them away, which wasted a lot of money, donate them, or give them to people. So also be aware that you're not going to need as much supplies as you have now.
I'd also say make sure you're keeping track of your syllabuses, like Yasir is saying, because I know a lot of professors don't tell you when assignments are. They just put all the assignments for the entire semester in the syllabus, and they just expect you to like go back and know what readings are due. And so that's definitely a shock when you come here for the first time and realize you had work to do that they just never told you. They just expect you to keep looking back at it. So I definitely say maybe print them out or maybe have them in some sort of system where you can access like all those dates.
I never use Google Calendar, but now I use Google Calendar.
Cool. What was your biggest struggle so far this school year?
I can say my. Oh, you want to go?
Go ahead, Taj.
I was saying my biggest struggle was just communicating with my professors. Like you have to have like a really good bond with your professors, because at the end of the day, they're the one who put in the grades. And just communicating with your professors is going to do a lot for you. Like I promise you, because just even saying, oh, I was sick that one day, I couldn't come into class. If you don't tell them that you weren't there or the reason why, that's going to put you in a lot of stress, because a lot of professors, they're different. Every professor is different. And it's just like high school, like how every teacher is different, every professor is different. So just be aware that the more you communicate with your professor, the better it's going to be all for you. So that's what I had to learn. And I have a pretty good connection with my professors now.
Also, one other thing is that, yeah, the professor thing is a big thing. It's like every professor is different. You have to know your professors and how they teach and what they're going to put on the exam. So like one thing Sophia said is reading is a big thing. It's not high school where, you sit in class, your teacher like tells you this and that, and then like that's basically the test. Here, lectures. So you go to lectures where the teacher has a slideshow, they present the slideshow, and then you go on with your day. And there are two things about this. One, there's material that's not in the lecture that's going to be on the test. And the only way to get that material is to read the book. And I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, I won't have to read books, blah, blah, I don't read books. You're going to have to be reading them now because there's going to be a lot of material in the book that they never said, and they're going to test you on it. And then two is one thing you should definitely do now is learn how to take notes. Take fast notes in class, because these professors, they talk fast, and if you ask them to repeat themselves, they will say no. They will say no and keep moving on. So learn how to take notes now in class, and learn how to use shorthand. And always, when you're done with the class, if you can, try to rewrite your notes in extensive length.
I'd also say, if you can, try to get to know your TAs, because a lot of times they're the ones who are doing the actual grading, especially on like for feedbacks for paper and stuff like that. And they do host office hours in addition to professors. So I definitely did not take advantage of office hours. I've been maybe twice, but that's definitely a resource that does help when you do go. So I'd definitely say to try to use that.
Yeah, colleges have a lot of resources. Like with my college, like if you're having trouble writing a paper, we have, a writing lab where, you can have somebody help you assist writing a paper. So just please, you're paying to go here. So just try to use as much amenities as you can, because it's only there to help you. It really is only there to help you. So just try to get as much out of college as you can, especially when it comes to academics.
Yeah,
Also-
definitely. Oh, go ahead, Noah.
Sorry, yes, sir. But also remember, some of your teachers are tenured, meaning they cannot be fired by the university. So the term "life is not fair" comes into full swing. I've had some terrible teachers. Well, okay, this is my first year, so I've had one terrible teacher, and we couldn't do anything about it. Long story short, I had a 68 until the final day that grading was due, and then I had a 95. So I was worried that I would not get the grades in, and that I would fail the class. You guys also have really rude professors. I've only had one experience like that. Maybe just because all of your schools are like really large, but American's only like 7,000 students, so we have really small. They will, thankfully, go back to work when we ask them to.
Do you guys, where was I thinking this? Okay, let's shift a little bit from that. We've got a few questions here. Free time on the weekends. What do weekends look like? And I guess this kind of goes with it. What are the consequences if you get in trouble in college?
Free time on the weekends mainly look like there's a party. There's going to be something to do. There's always going to be, especially, well, at least at my college, there's always a party on the weekends that goes, forever. So just be aware that if you have like something big coming up, that you have to, be aware to probably skip that party or probably skip that event, because you have the time management. And then also consequences are pretty harsh in college. Like, if you fight in high school, you might get like 2 or 3 days out. But in college, at least at my college, it's a year suspension where you can't even step foot onto the college for a whole year. So just be aware of the stuff that you do. And, you are an adult. So if you do something illegal, the college is not going to, kind of shelter you like how high school would. Like if you get caught smoking, they're not going to, shelter you. You're going to jail, but you're getting kicked out. Like it's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Because at the end of the day, you have to realize you're 18, you're an adult, and adults that do, illegal stuff or stuff that's not following the rules are going to get adult consequences. So just think about that.
I just realized I was never muted. Also, read your policy books. It's very important because at American, if you do get caught smoking, no crime, you will not be punished, but you will be disciplined if you get it, if it happens more than like 5 times a month.
Yeah, and I think time management, one of the biggest times to do time management is on the weekends, surprisingly. Like, Friday, you should definitely be in some work done, but like try to use the nighttime activities. But during the day, I would definitely say try to get some work done, especially on a Sunday. definitely Sunday is the day to pick up the pieces in many ways. I don't know if I'll talk about them all. But definitely pick up the pieces, get your work done. And yeah, consequences are bigger in college, you know. When if you get in trouble, you know, most likely like a lot of times something might happen in a dorm, which is like the living area, like the building where you guys live in. You know, a lot of times the person who reports this is your RA, which is like your resident assistant, who's also a student at your college. And you have no idea, but then the person who knocks on your door to notify you about the thing that's happening is a police officer. So, you know, it's not like, you know, your room might smell like weed and then there's a police officer at your door now. Or, you know, you might have alcohol in your room and now there's a police officer at your door because there's underage drinking. So you got to think about things about like that. Like, you know, you're an adult, but also you're an adult of a certain age. You know, you're not 21. So alcohol is a thing. Illegal substances is a thing. So be careful and be cautious when it comes to these things, because you know these things have big consequences, because now you're an adult and now you're, you know, you don't have high school or your parents there to get you out of this trouble. And also they won't tell your parents. You know, if you got kicked out of college, or you know, if you're suspended in college, your parents don't know. Like, so you know, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to call your parents now and tell them, like, no, they'll kick you out of college and say nothing to them.
Also, with that, college isn't just about work. Like college, it comes with a balance. You have to really balance it, because I heard wisdom from one of the best professors I ever had, Miss Williams. She said that we understand that, you know, you're students, but you also have to be, you know, people at the end of the day. So you feel me? You gotta you gotta do your work. Of course, work comes first, but you can't just only do work, because you know that's gonna only hurt you. So just try to get your fun, of course, get your fun, but also get your work done first before you get your fun.
And how do you do that? Like, what's the secret to balancing your social life and your schoolwork?
So what the secret is, worry about the work first, and until you're finished your work, then you can have fun. Whatever's going on after, you know, your work is done, you know, then you can go ahead and do it. And if you really want to go to an event, like you say there's this big party that you want to go to, make sure that you're up doing your work so that you can attend that event. Because if you don't do your work, then you can't go. I'm sorry, like it's just how it is. So just try to, you know, balance that.
Also, I want to stress this: fun feels so much more fun when you don't have something looming over your head. You know, like fun when you know you had all your work done and you did it to the best of your ability, and you know your grades are up. You sit in the high, your work's done, your grades are good. That fun feels 10 times better than if you knew, like, you're like, I should be home studying for a test or doing my paper, doing my homework, and you're at a party. You're like, you know, now you're not getting your work done and you're not having fun. So get the work done and then have the fun, so the fun feels even better.
Sophia, Noah, being in DC, do you do a lot of things off campus, or are you guys mostly on campus for your social life?
I feel like most of it is probably off campus, just because our campus is kind of small and in the middle of the city. Like I know people like going night monumenting and things like that. And then there's also like different social events like parties and clubs and stuff that like all the DC schools go to. But there's also on-campus things too. They have late night too if you're not into like the partying scene. They have other activities you can do with other students who also aren't into that. And then if you are into the partying scene, there's that too. So I just think being in the city in general, there's a lot of options. So no matter what you want to do, you'll probably find it here.
Cool, thanks.
I used to go to the White House or to the Capitol often, but then I felt like then I felt like people really hated, you know, this random guy just being there trying to talk to like senators. I was successful for like 3 weeks, and then I just got kind of scared that they were judging me for it. They probably were. But you know, there's a lot to do in DC. You can go to pubs. Well, okay, pubs. You can go to like, you know, night stuff. You can go to a lot of concerts are here. You can go to do a lot of different stuff. And even just kind of walk around. What I love about DC is, and Sophia, you can 100% back me up on this, is that there's different places. Like you can go to like you guys might not get this reference, but you go to Adams Morgan one day versus you go to Shaw. You can go to Silver Spring. You can go to all these parts of the city, and you can have a completely different experience.
Yeah, and I definitely say the metro system here is very easy to use. And I know both of our schools have a UPass system, so you pay in advance. I think it's like $100 per semester, and then you get unlimited use in the metro for the entire semester. And that's really nice. I'd definitely say take advantage of that and get to see different parts of the city. It also goes into Virginia and Maryland, so that's definitely a really great resource.
That's cool. Okay. I know, Tajae, you said your school has cars. You're as a freshman. Anybody else allowed to have a car? And do you have a car? So how do you get around? Shuttle, metro, walk, bikes?
I beg people for rides.
Fair.
Same. Two of my friends as freshmen somehow snuck cars in, so I just asked them.
Okay.
There's also Zip cars that you could use. Most of the time you can't rent a car until you're older, but if you're a student and you can register through your school and you can use them at once you're 18. So that's a really great resource if you want to take like a quick trip somewhere. But
so with my school is more underdeveloped. So they do allow cars because there isn't really any public transportation. I go to school in the deep south. So it's not like, up north where there are like a lot of public transportation. It's more down south where there is less public transportation. So for people to really get around, we have to have cars. So I think that's one of the reasons why my school allows cars.
Makes sense. Any of you in honors, scholars, or LLC programs? And if so, are you finding the extra coursework challenging?
I'm in honors, and honestly, it's probably one of the better things I'm doing here. You can take a number of courses such as like film, politics in media, and just sort of stuff like that. And I'm taking one on this really long-term transnational migration and urban change. And it's such an interesting concept. That we basically just make a research project about a community in this area or any given topic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also in the honors program. I would definitely say it's a good thing. You get priority registration for a lot of places. And as for course load, a lot of it doubles up with your requirements. So like everyone at GW has to take a university writing class, but if you're in honors, your honors class counts as that. So it's not an additional course, but rather one that replaces it. And there's also like a better variety of classes, especially like for the science requirement. I can take a class for honors, which is geared towards non-science majors. Like last semester, I had biology of sex and reproduction, and this semester I have one on plants. So it's knowing that you're not probably going to be a science major. That's very helpful in the science classes if that's not something that comes easy to you.
But also honor students get more benefits on campus. Like I know at my school, we have an honors dorm. So if you are an honor student, you get to, the nicer dorms and stuff like that. So always try to strive to become an honor student. Even if you aren't entering as an honor student, try to, become an honor student while you're in college.
Yeah, I am an honor student too. And I'm also a part of the Community Justice and Wellbeing LLC. And basically like, I don't know, the LLC doesn't really have anything. I thought I was gonna have to take another course, but they waived it. I don't know why. So it's basically I'm just like in a community with people in my dorm who are part of that LLC too. So it's kind of nice to if you can't pick an LLC that being around people that will most likely have the same kind of thinking around you. And I mean honors at my university. Not really much difference. I just take like honors bio, which is the exact same course. You just have a different teacher. You have the honors teacher. So there's, once again, like Sophia said, there's not really much difference for me. I'm taking the same courses as my friends, my other bio majors, my other chem majors. It's just I have a different teacher.
I would also say that a lot of the honors classes are a lot smaller, so you get to know your professors and your classmates a lot better, especially if you live with other honors students. They're going to be the same kids in your classroom, which is really helpful for getting to know people.
All right, let's wind this up by saying if you could give yourself one piece of advice February a year ago, what would you have told yourself to do?
Personally, what I would have told myself was be more open, and also don't be afraid to ask your college for money. Do not be afraid to ask for money, because before I was more like wary of like, okay, like I don't want to feel like, like stingy, but like at the end of the day, this is your money that's coming out of your pocket or your parents' pocket. So always don't be afraid to ask for money. Like I called my college, I guess a week into college, and I said, you guys are raising my tuition, da, 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 da. And a few days later, I seen a random scholarship added onto my scholarship that I didn't know about of like $2,000. So like always try to ask for more money if you can, because it's only going to help you in the future.
Thanks. Someone else?
One piece of advice I would say is there's always going to be another social event. School comes first. Don't, especially as a freshman, I feel like you're like, oh, you see the movies, you hear the stories and stuff, you want to like live that college party life, but it's always academics first. So get it done before you go to the event.
I would say advice I would give myself is that you don't need to bring everything you own to college, because your dorms are very small, and the more stuff you bring, especially clothes, you don't need every random t-shirt you've ever had, because it's just going to add so much more stress to your life having to sort through like so many things and keep it in this small room. So
That's awesome. Noah?
Don't just do academics to pass the class. Do academics to actually learn, especially if you're taking a class that you're interested in. So many professors can unlock so much more opportunities, and it's just up to you to really take advantage of that.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Don't be afraid to, so like in my school, a lot the way research works, if you want to be a part of a lab, a chemistry lab or a biology lab, you have to reach out to a professor. You have to go on this page where it tells you all different professors and what they're researching and gives a little blurb. And then you have to email them and say, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Can we set up a meeting? Because I want to get into your lab. As a freshman, and a lot of times, not first semester, do this first semester so you can get the second semester. But a lot of them will say, let's keep talking. I want you in my lab second semester of your freshman year. And don't be afraid to do that. I know it might seem intimidating because these are professors, you never had these before. You feel like just like a little fish in a pond, but don't be afraid. Do it. It looks good on your resume. And you'll be, I'm a biology major and I'm working in a biology lab. I'm going to be doing this in next month. So it's really exciting because I'm doing what I love to do. It's what I'm here to school to do. And I'm working in a lab already. So don't be afraid to take those opportunities, put yourself out there and do what you like to do.
Oh, one last thing I have to add to that too is internships aren't only for your junior and senior year. You can start internships as a freshman. So try to get involved in that because those are amazing things to add to your resume. So you don't wait for, oh, I have to do this when I'm a junior and senior. You can start as a freshman.
Awesome, guys. Any last minute questions from our audience? Well, you guys have been amazing. I really appreciate it. Thank you. This was really great. I don't know how parents and kids feel, but I think you guys were amazing. You gave some really good pointers, suggestions. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your night. So we can hang around for a few minutes, but otherwise this evening is over. And thank you for jumping on for us, everybody. And we'll keep our panelists here for a few more minutes. Oh, I see a question. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for flowing in. I really appreciate you for taking your night off with us and working with us. Sophia, I hope you didn't have too late of a night last night and you can sleep tonight. No more midterms.
I really wish we had this last year.
I know.
I really wish we had this last
year. Yeah, just all the little questions, all the little things, especially hearing it from a freshman, because a lot of times you hear from the colleges and stuff and all these like other students who attend your college, but then they're like juniors and seniors, and like it's nice hearing from like a freshman who's still a freshman, even like a second semester freshman.
And also, we didn't mention a lot of stuff that goes on in college. You have to learn it yourself. So every experience is going to be different. And we just, try to touch on the general basis of stuff, but your college experience is going to be personalized more towards yourself. So just like, try to take what we said, but you might go to any college around the world. So the colleges we said right here are going to always be different from the college that you're going to attend. So just try to take what we said with a grain of salt, but it's also, good advice for you.
But I hear common themes are time management is really critical. Schoolwork has to come first. Put yourself out there to meet friends, meet people.
And if you do go to a college where you're from, or where a lot of people in the same high school go to, don't cling on to your high school friends. Branch out, become friends with new people, stay friends with them. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying ice them and just dissociate them from your life, but I'm saying don't fall in the trap. It feels comfortable, but get out of your comfort zone, meet new people, do new things. You don't want to stay stuck in that little bubble.
Right. Agree. All right. Well, a lot of thank yous for you guys. So we can hang up now. I will email you all a big thank you tomorrow. I really, really appreciate your time. This was great. I thought you guys were
Awesome.
fun.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of your semester. I guess some of you are having spring break coming up soon. So take a break, take a breather, get your energy, and finish out strong for your first year. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, enjoy the rest of your nights.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.